In addition to specifying the mapping for a route and modifying parameters, you can also use attributes to change the routing. You can do it at the action method level. You can also do it at the controller level. But you need to have a really good business reason for doing this because it is standard practice to use the action method name as the route name. Okay, so there has to be a pretty good reason for doing this, but you basically would add the attribute route and then in parentheses, use whatever text you want them to key in. So instead of saying a home/about, which is the name of the action method, you would use home/us. Okay, so again, has to be a really good business reason for doing this. And so this is considered to be more static because you are actually specifying exactly what the route should be. Now, if you want to use the current action method, let's say you're afraid the action method name may change for some reason, you're doing testing, so you don't really want to map the route in the program CS file. Okay, but you whatever the route name is, if you change it, you always want it to pick it up. You could specify this, at the action method level or at the controller level. And so route, and then in double quotes, you have brackets action is going to pick up whatever the action method name is. At the controller level, you have route, and then in double quotes, brackets controller. It would pick up whatever the current controller is. So how would you change the routing for a controller? So you put in the attribute route, just like you did for an action method. And then if you want them to hard code something, you would, key that static text in, followed by, action, bracket action or bracket controller, whatever string you wanted them to end up keying in. By doing this, you are forcing them to key in the word retail and a slash, followed by whatever that controller happens to be. In this case, it's product controller, so b/retail/product. And then they would do detail. And here they've got list. So because you're telling it to pick up the current controller, you conceivably could key in /retail/list or /retail/product. Okay. However, if you did /retail/product, you'd probably end up going to the index. So overriding these routes using data attributes is not really best practices. Okay. It's used in testing when you're making changes, or maybe you just want a shorter URL, but that's not typically how things go into production. So if you are going to change the routes, you would be doing it for better usability, maybe SEO optimization. That would make sense because you'd want, to get those keywords in as often as possible. You might be doing it for consistency or to shorten the URL. And so this example shows 3 different ways of entering a product. This is just by number. This is by super lengthy description, which I would never do because I could never remember that. And this is by the number / and then a shortened version of the description. So the third one is probably, as far as information goes, the most informative, just because you've got the number and a shortened description. But honestly, I probably wouldn't remember the description. I would probably use the first one because remembering a number is easier for me. Okay, but these are just examples of different ways that you can set this up.